Have you ever wondered why some weeks you just feel absolutely unstoppable, and others, despite doing everything right, you feel like you're fighting a losing battle against your own body? Well, today we're diving deep into a completely hidden operating system. In this explainer, we're going to decode the exact invisible biological forces that quietly dictate your energy levels, the way you age, and really your entire daily reality. This is the big question we're tackling today. It's a mystery that frustrates so many of us, right? We try so hard to optimize our health. So why is it that our strict diets or our rigorous workout plans sometimes just get completely overridden? Why does our willpower just seemingly vanish out of nowhere? The secret here isn't a lack of discipline. It's actually a cascade of invisible chemical signals that, once they're triggered, actively rewrite how your brain and body function in real time. You see, health isn't just a random collection of isolated habits. It's a deeply connected, incredibly complex chain reaction happening right beneath our conscious awareness. It is literally a hidden operating system. And here's the wild part. We are constantly programming it. Every single choice we make sends a command into the system. It either promotes systemic repair and longevity, or it signals panic and breakdown. And to figure out how to master this system, we have to look at the very first domino. Section 1, the hidden operating system, the first domino. Okay, let's get right into it. The root cause of your daily metabolic state almost always traces back to one foundational process: sleep. When you get sufficient deep sleep, your body enters this beautifully synchronized restorative state. Your body's primary stress response system, the HPA axis, is inhibited, and systemic cellular repair just takes over. But what happens when you restrict that sleep to just 4 or 5 hours? Well, you don't just feel groggy. Your body actually enters an ancient evolutionary survival state. Your sympathetic nervous system, that fight-or-flight response, activates, and you transition into a catabolic emergency. Your body literally starts breaking itself down just to survive. Section 2. The hunger hormone hijack. This survival state triggers our next massive revelation. Missing just a few hours of sleep over a couple of nights fundamentally alters the chemical messengers that dictate your behavior. You might think you just have a sweet tooth or want a late-night snack, but 28%. That is the massive, undeniable spike in your primary hunger hormone, ghrelin, after merely 2 nights of restricted sleep. Your stomach is actively screaming at your brain to eat, setting you up for this crazy paradox of intense, uncontrollable cravings. To really grasp why this is so devastating, we have to look at the delicate relationship between 2 specific hormones. Ghrelin, which is produced in your stomach, drives the intense biological demand for food. Then you have leptin, produced in your fat cells, which is supposed to signal energy sufficiency to your brain and suppress that appetite. But when you build up sleep debt, not only does ghrelin spike by that 28%, but leptin absolutely plummets by 18%. Your brain misinterprets your exhaustion as actual literal starvation. Section 3. The amygdala's survival trap. So why does the brain actively override logic when we're tired? Why can't we just tell ourselves, hey, we aren't actually starving right now? Well, sleep deprivation selectively upregulates a neural pathway called the amygdala hypothalamic circuit. This essentially allows food cues to completely bypass the logical decision-making centers of your brain. It acts like a magnetic, uncontrollable pull toward calorie-dense, carbohydrate-rich foods simply because your exhausted brain is prioritizing immediate evolutionary survival over any of your long-term health goals. Section 4. The hormone hijack, the cortisol shock. But look, cravings are just the behavioral surface. While you're battling the urge to raid the pantry for junk food, a much darker cellular shift is happening simultaneously. Your operating system is initiating a cortisol shock. 51%. That is the staggering spike in afternoon and evening cortisol levels after just 1 single week of sleep restriction. Having your primary stress hormone elevated at completely the wrong time of day is an absolute disaster for your overall body composition. This hypercortisolemic state creates an unbelievable headwind against fat loss. Sustained high cortisol actively blocks lipolysis, which is just the scientific term for the breakdown of fats. Instead of burning energy, it directs your body to store ectopic visceral sat. That's the highly inflammatory, dangerous fat located deep within your abdomen. So even if you are perfectly dialing in your nutrition during the day, this internal hormonal environment is actively fighting your efforts. Let's track exactly how fast this unravels. After just night 1, the hormonal shift begins. Ghrelin rises, leptin falls. By day 3, your metabolic health drops off a cliff. Your insulin sensitivity falls by roughly 20%, meaning your body is suddenly struggling to handle carbohydrates efficiently. And by day 7, You enter a state of systemic aging. Muscle repair halts entirely, and your anabolic tissue-building hormones absolutely plummet. It's this inevitable, ominous cascade. Section 5. The cellular price. What exactly happens to the physical architecture of our bodies, our muscles, and our metabolism during the state of biological panic? Well, clinical data reveals a pretty shocking truth. When you're in a caloric deficit but you restrict your sleep, your body flips the script. It actively spares body fat and aggressively accelerates the loss of your hard-earned muscle mass. Think about that. You are literally burning muscle and hoarding fat. To understand why this muscle loss is happening, we need to talk about muscle protein synthesis, or MPS. This is the critical biological machinery through which your body actually repairs skeletal tissue and converts the stimulus from your workouts into real structural adaptation. Your training applies the stimulus, sure, but MPS is what actually builds the muscle. Under sleep restriction, overall muscle protein synthesis drops by a staggering 18%. And for male subjects in these clinical trials, they experienced a severe, almost unbelievable 33% decline in this crucial muscle-building process. You can put in all the grueling work you want at the gym, but your hidden operating system is flat out refusing to process the upgrade. And the hormonal suppression mirrors this physical decay perfectly. Under normal aging conditions, testosterone declines by about 1 to 2% per year. But under sleep deprivation, testosterone declines by 10 to 15% in just a single week of 5-hour sleep nights. To put that into perspective, that means one bad week of sleep mimics the hormonal aging process of 10 to 15 years. The scariest part is that these aren't isolated events. This is a synchronized, systemic chain reaction. Your glucose tolerance drops 30 to 40%. Your insulin sensitivity falls. Your resting metabolic rate completely plummets. Your brain develops central leptin resistance, making you functionally blind to being full. And low-grade inflammation, driven by cytokines like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, rises throughout your entire system. The whole shebang is a synchronized shift toward prediabetes and profound metabolic vulnerability. Section 6. Architecture of human flourishing. But understanding this breakdown is exactly how you unlock your potential. Watch how this cascade builds. Step 1. Sleep loss disrupts the HPA axis, spiking your stress. Step 2. Altered ghrelin and leptin drive your amygdala to seek out junk food. Step 3. The consequent glucose and insulin issues block your ability to burn fat. And Step 4. Muscle synthesis drops and hormones plummet, accelerating aging. Once you can visualize this predictable loop, you can finally stop fighting against yourself. Which brings us to a massive, game-changing realization. Health is not just a collection of separate habits you can check off a list. You absolutely cannot outtrain a biological panic state. You cannot outdiet a hunger hormone hijack. True health optimization means deeply respecting this delicate, interconnected biology and realizing that prioritizing your recovery environment is what actually allows everything else to work. Health is the emergent result of countless interconnected biological processes occurring every moment of every day. Every small decision regarding your sleep, your stress, your light exposure, and your recovery literally alters your biological destiny. It's empowering when you think about it. You are constantly actively programming your hidden operating system. So, I want to leave you with this final thought. We've seen the clinical data today. We know for a fact that just a single week of compromised sleep can entirely rewrite your biology, aging you by a decade, dissolving your muscle, and turning on your deepest, most primal survival cravings. The science is incredibly clear, and the mechanisms aren't hidden from us anymore. So, knowing what you now know about the powerful forces inside you, what trajectory are you choosing tonight?